Originally, Taylor Lorenz writes a investigative report on the Wired magazine about a powerful dark money group that's secretly funding high-profile Democratic Party aligned influencers. Big liberal content creators are being paid up to $8,000 per month to push party messaging. Democrats hope that the secretive course creator incubator program funded by a powerful liberal dark money group called 1630 Fund might tip the scales in their favor after Kamala Harris's stunning loss to Trump last fall. The program kicked off last month, and over 90 influencers are allegedly taking part. Creators told Wired that the contract stipulated they'd be kicked out and cut off financially if they even so much as acknowledged that they were part of the program. According to copies of the contract viewed by Wired, so they did actually get these contracts, and they did view these contracts that creators signed. The influencers are not allowed to disclose their relationship with the chorus or the 1630 Fund, or functionally that they're being paid at all. Creators in the program are not allowed to use any funds or resources that they receive as a part of the program to make any content that supports or opposes a political candidate or campaign without express permission from their funders. With this structure, it avoids a lot of public disclosure or public disclaimers, paid for by blah, 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 that you see on political ads. We don't need to deal with any of that. Your names aren't showing up on like reports filed with the FEC. So there's two different things here, okay? Normally, if you are paid for by a political activist, political advocacy fund, or any sort of campaign, you actually, a lot of people don't know this, you don't actually have to disclose that's an ad. And the reason for why, I think it's really indecent that this exists to begin with. But the reason for why you don't have to is because technically it's all public. It's all public on the regulatory side. Because if you go and like look at the Progressive Victory Fund, for example, you can find exactly who they have given money to for what purpose, right? So because of that, because technically there is a legal disclosure that needs to take place on that end, you are not required to say this is a hashtag ad. It's a major loophole, and I don't like it. And I think it's fucked up. Having said that, in this circumstance, there's even more contractual stipulations. Like they're taking advantage of the fact that this is a political advocacy organization, but it doesn't even have the FEC disclosures. It doesn't even have the FEC disclosures that normally would show up. The FEC and FTC declined to comment, but regulations in the influencer space are notoriously murky, and the intentional non-disclosures raise ethical questions about political advertising in the internet age. Don Hyder, the chief executive of Marcola Center for Applied Ethics, says that the outlined restrictions violate ethical norms. We're living in an era where a lot of powerful people have taken the rule book and thrown it out the window, which is true. There's also the other side of the story, which is that the regulatory agencies that normally would look at this sort of thing, the FEC or the FTC, if it's a non-political ad, then it's the FTC technically. It's under the supervision of the FTC. If it's a political ad, it's under the supervision of the FEC. But both of these regulatory agencies have been completely gutted and undermined by the Trump administration. So who the fuck is supposed to even take notice of these sorts of things? The fact that it's not illegal or in a legal gray area doesn't mean that it's good or appropriate. Or the fact that Republicans are doing this and taking advantage of the structure, which is part of the reason why it's already not illegal to begin with, does not make it good or appropriate. Liz Dubois, who has researched the ways influencers are reshaping the U.S. political system, says that we are seeing influencers being pulled into these dark campaigns or shadow campaigns where the legal aspect is murky at best. Sometimes it is actually clear that influencers are being used to, for example, evade spending limits. I think that we need to remember that for democracy to thrive, we do need transparency around who's paying for political messages. Stephen Buckley, a digital media sociologist, says that these sorts of programs have been happening in the right wing for ages, but the structure of the deal raises the question: is it ethical to match the tactics of your opponents? What we need is for people to invest in independent media, and that doesn't necessarily mean investing in a consulting group that is going to become a middleman for independent media, says Spahar. That was the article, and then in the aftermath of this article, people just basically decided to attack Taylor Lorenz. So we'll start off here. This is Brian Tyler Cohen. So Brian Tyler Cohen owns Chorus, which is supposed to be this not independent, but like Dem-aligned influencer strategy, influencer marketing group.
At the risk of giving an internet troll more attention, I want to address a piece that Taylor Lorenz wrote yesterday for Wired. An initiative aimed at boosting Democrats online offers influencers up to $8,000 a month to push the party line. All they have to do is keep it secret and agree to restrictions on their content. Literally nothing in this statement is true. The article is about Chorus, which is a nonprofit that I helped found to build up a creator ecosystem, which everybody says they want, but few are doing. So here's what Chorus is. It is a scholarship program to teach creators how to grow their accounts, foster engagement, launch their own shows, and become profitable on their own. It's an incubator program to build the pro-democracy ecosystem. Influencers and creators have never been more important when it comes to how Americans are consuming their news. The right has been doing this for years, and the left needs to catch up. That's why we're doing this with Chorus. So let's talk about what Chorus is and what it's not. Chorus does not pay creators for content, does not tell them what to say, it does not control who they talk to or work with, and there is absolutely nothing in the contract that could even be reasonably interpreted to say that we do. Period.
But I don't understand. If that's the case, where is Taylor Lorenz getting this information from? I have stood by Taylor's journalism and her reporting, and she's been consistent, right? Either there is a massive fuck up here, and either she didn't see the correct contract or something, or someone fed her misinformation, like one of her on background or off the record resources just either deliberately spread misinformation, just lied to her completely. And then not only did that person lie to her, but that person lied to a team of fact checkers, the editorial team, and at no stage did the legal team at Wired magazine look at this and go, this doesn't seem correct, right? She said she was approached by people who are under the contract and have concerns. The report says that they looked at multiple contracts that had stipulations. Yeah. So did they just make up a bunch of fake contracts and then feed it to Wired magazine? If that's the case, why would they have done so? There are too many points of failure and too many lies on behalf of in order for me to arrive at this conclusion that this reporting was untrue, there are a bunch of independent influencers that must have gotten together and fed the same exact fake information to Taylor Lorenz, and it feels too incredulous.
Full stop. I don't know a single creator who would willfully sign up for a program that would tell them what they can or can't say. That's not what this program is. We pay people to show up to workshops and technical trainings to optimize their content online. For example,
but even this guy saying he got money is saying he just got money for fun, his counterpoint to Taylor makes no sense. No, this is the person who owns Chorus, okay? So Chorus is an out and about DNC affiliated influencer structure, right? So that's out in the open. That's not actually even a point of contention here. The reporting expanded on that, on who is backing Chorus, the 1630 fund, and who is actually funding the 1630 fund in general. So when Brian talks about Chorus, that's his program. That's his actual thing. That's his personal nonprofit.
We've got trainings on how to package content for YouTube, trainings on how to optimize audience retention for Instagram and TikTok, trainings on how to form an LLC. Again, there are zero restrictions on their content. And by the way, the program works. In just 2 months, our cohort has added a combined 6 million followers, that's not including me, and seen their views and engagement grow. That is the point of the program, to teach creators how to be effective with whatever messages they want to promote. And with regard to keeping it a secret, there is a standard confidentiality clause in the contract to protect the privacy of the creators. On the literal first day of the program, it was made clear to all of the creators in our kickoff session that they were absolutely free to talk about Chorus. And we immediately followed up to confirm that in writing. Creators have videos about Chorus. They've got donation links to Chorus in their bios. I myself have made videos that were posted all over the internet about Chorus that reached hundreds of thousands of people. It is not a secret, and it never was.
Yeah, I don't think that's the secretive part. I don't even think Taylor was saying that that's a secret. This doesn't make any sense. Unless, I don't think Brian is misunderstanding the reporting, right? Because the reporting does not make it seem as though Chorus is this secretive element here. Chorus has a website, and on that website there are content creators, many of which actually work with Chorus, and some that do not actually work with Chorus that are even used in the pitch decks, for example. This comes across like a little bit of a straw man. I think they should just be like, yeah, we're getting money from Democrats, and we're getting money from Democrat donors. And this is a normal part of the process on the Republican side. And we're trying to build a robust liberal media ecosystem. And I think the major issue here was that we did not disclose who we were getting paid from, and whether or not some of the content that we were putting out there was an actual ad or was a demand being made by either Chorus or Chorus as a middleman for 1630, which is the actual backer. So Chorus is funding left-wing creators and is public about it, but Chorus isn't public about who's funding them. Is that right? Yes, that's part of the problem. But the other part of the problem is, according to the contract stipulates that, and we don't know, right? I haven't seen the contracts, but my expectation is not to see the contracts when I'm reading a news article about something like this. In most circumstances, the news article doesn't actually reveal the contracts, but they will show the contracts to the editorial team and to the fact checkers as well, and to the legal team as well, to make sure that the article that they're writing is fully it's fully correct, and they don't get hit with like a countersuit or something, like a libel suit. The contract itself says you are not allowed to say it, but the website, the Chorus website, as far as I understand, has like a bunch of content creators that are unaffiliated and also affiliated on it, saying this is our network, this is our pitch deck, these are the people that we're working with. If those contracts are falsified and they're shown to be, the contract stipulations are shown to be entirely different than the way Taylor reported on it, then that's on her. But when I read an article from like Wired magazine from a reporter like Taylor Lorenz, my initial expectation is not going to be, oh, this is slop or this is false. This is a falsehood. You can't just like lie in a piece of news coverage like this. I still think we should be charitable to Brian Tyler Cohen because the points he made in this video were transparent and direct and not in bad faith. I know, but he's not actually, he's just saying it's not true. He's not presenting evidence. It's just his word against the journalism of the article. So, and I'm going to repeat this one more time. I don't have any issue with Brian Tyler Cohen. I have disagreements with Brian Tyler Cohen, but like it's cordial. Okay. So that is the main point of contention here. Is that contract real or not? I have no reason to assume that this contract is not real. I have no reason to assume that, a mainstream outlet like Wired magazine, especially one that's done great work so far against the Trump administration, is going to sit there and put forward a contract that's just like fake.
There's the implication in the article that this is some arm of the DNC or the Democratic Party. We have literally nothing to do with the DNC. I spend 0 minutes of my day thinking about the DNC. The creators do not toe any party line. How could we? There isn't a party line. Creators are absolutely allowed to speak out against the Democrats, and in fact, plenty do. And frankly, Chorus creators should and do criticize Democrats when they suck, and quite often, they do suck. I've seen posts saying that this is AIPAC funded, which couldn't be further from the truth. I'd venture to
I don't think that's the case. That's not an argument that was presented by Taylor at all either.
guess that most Chorus creators, myself included on both YouTube and Substack, have spoken out against the atrocities in Gaza. Lorenz says that the 1630 Fund is, quote, a powerful liberal dark money group. 1630 Fund is our fiscal sponsor. One of the largest documented donors to 1630 Fund is the same person funding Meteor's Reporters in Residence program, which Taylor Lorenz herself is a part of. And guess what her monthly stipend is? $8,000 per month. So she's criticizing an entity that is funded by someone that she is currently taking money from. I guess it's okay when Taylor Lorenz gets paid, but no one else. The monthly stipend that we offer is so that creators can do this work full time. We've had numerous creators.
So I don't know exactly how much money she gets from the Omidyar fund, and I don't know if Pierre Omidyar is a part of the donation structure for the 1630 fund. But the major difference here is the disclosures. If it's publicly disclosed, if a grant is a public grant and it's publicly disclosed, it's entirely different than having a bunch of shadowy donors that fund an organization with contractual stipulations that demand that you do not disclose that you are being funded by this organization. What's the point of Brian Taylor Cohen lying about Taylor here? It's not even, I guess technically it's not even a lie. I guess like the only thing that he's wrong about or lying about, or he might be misguided about is the funding, but you're attacking the messenger instead of the message. It's just it's a trick that a lot of people do. It's a very successful deflection mechanism to say, oh, well, no, you're also getting funded by this guy that we're also getting funded by. But in fact, from what I understand, seemingly Jessica Burbank is the one who started. I really like Jessica Burbank. I don't understand what the fuck's going on here, but is the one who started the complete lie that I'm somehow funded by 1630 Fund, or that Omidyar Network is reporting is. Omidyar Network has received zero funding from 1630. I have received zero funding from 1630. This is a disgusting thing to do to another reporter. Page 82 of Financial Disclosure in 2022. I just DM'd it to King Clip because I saw him retweeting Taylor. This screenshot is from a refund 1630 cent from a program that Omidyar funded years ago before the reporters in the residence program even began. The fact that Jessica Burbank is spreading complete fabrications about me in coordinated group chat of influencers is revealing. Jessica's talking about how she's leveraging her connections in media to spread this stuff too. What other journalists has she been boosting this smear campaign to? My story with Wired is factual. Participating in a coordinated smear campaign is so low. Here's the statement from Omidyar Network on the reporters residence program. Neither I nor they have ever received funding from the 1630 fund. I have never received $1 from any dark money groups or political organizations. ChatGPT link at the, wait, what? SourceChatGPT.com. Does this mean that like ChatGPT spat this out? I don't understand. If Taylor was funded meaningfully by the same entity, wouldn't she simply just not have an interest in writing the article? Yeah. That also kind of doesn't make sense.
Creators in the cohort quit their jobs so that they can focus on creating content full time. That is what we want. I'm really proud that we can give creators that security for as long as they're in the program. We want people to create pro-democracy content full time, and we want to make sure that they can afford to pay their rent and their bills while doing it. If I could have cohorts with 1,000 people in it so that everybody could be part of the program, I would. For everybody saying that they would like to be part of the next cohort, we would love for you to apply. That's our whole goal. It's to build up an army of pro-democracy content creators who can speak authentically about the issues that they care about and be able to do it as effectively as possible. I should note that while I started this program, I have never and will never get paid. I do.
Okay. I think the major problem here is like, why do the contracts stipulate that there are no disclosures whatsoever? And what level of editorial control are baked into the contracts? Because now it's just the contracts that Taylor and the Wired team has reviewed versus, which is hard evidence, right? Hard evidence that is backed by the editorial control process that exists in mainstream outlets such as Wired, and the legal teams and the legal reviews that take place in the process, and the fact checking that takes place in the process of like putting out an article such as this one. It's not the same as like a Substack report. Ultimately, it's just what he's saying is this is false versus the Wired reporting.
This 100%.
Like this isn't Brian Tyler Cohen against Taylor Lorenz. This is Brian Tyler Cohen saying Wired is putting out fake news. He is angling this as like Taylor Lorenz being an internet troll. And I think it's because he doesn't want to come across as like shitting on Wired magazine, which does great reporting. So he's just directly tackling the messenger by smearing the messenger rather than address the message. It's a common tactic applied, a common tactic that's used that is unfortunately very effective. Donald Trump does it. A lot of people do this. The other side of this is like, if this reporting is factually inaccurate, there is a process through litigation that you would normally go through. So what's interesting about it is that they're not doing that. They're not like actually saying, they're not demanding a retraction from what I see from Wired. They're not trying to send a legal team after Wired to demand a retraction or to potentially sue them for libel. And instead, they're just making content that doesn't necessarily even address the major points of contention here, but simply just moves on past it, directly attacks the journalists who reported on it, and then says, well, the Republicans are doing it too. Now, that last part is not incorrect. Republicans do exactly this, okay? That's why we call them grifters. That's why we call them grifters.
As a volunteer, I have never earned a dime from Chorus, and I never will. I want every dollar that we raise to go to creators so that they can do this important work without spending 8 hours a day working at some different job. I've been saying for years that the left needs to build up its creator space. That has never been more true than it is right now. Influencers and creators have never been more important when it comes to how Americans are consuming their news. The left is a decade behind right now. We desperately need
This part is correct. He's right about this. But having said that, if you were to say it's really important that we also build a robust and transparent progressive media network, okay, to actively counter the misinformation that flows from the right, then that's fine. You say, hey, we fucked up. We shouldn't have had these contracts that are so ridiculous, and we should have disclosed donors, and we should have always been transparent, even if the law allows us to not be transparent. I think that's the best possible way to go about this. And the worst possible way to go about it is that to do like almost Trump style, like this person sucks, and is bad.
Creators teaching and amplifying new content creators, and not just Chorus, by the way. There are other programs in this space doing the same thing. I want all of them to succeed. We need all of them to succeed. There are people like Taylor Lorenz who are desperate to tear the left apart, and in fact, it becomes clear who her efforts help when you hear stuff like this.
Genuinely, I kind of like Taylor Lorenz because I know that she actually believes what she says.
Totally
You get what I'm
agree.
saying?
So yeah, I generally don't align myself with friends of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens.
I don't think Taylor Lorenz is friends with Tucker Carlson and Taylor. What? No, that's not. A lot of people don't understand this, but like, even if you have disagreements, I said this yesterday, even if you have disagreements with the way like Taylor conducts herself or, you know, some of the things that she believes or some of the things she advocates for, ultimately her work speaks for itself. She is the type of journalist that unfortunately no longer exists as much. Like, people will be like, oh, she'll burn you for a story. And it's like, that's not wrong, but that's what journalists do. Like, journalists do that. That's what the job of a journalist is. That's what the job of an investigative reporter is. In many instances, a tenacious and maybe a little, maybe a little crazy is like something that is necessary with good reporters, good investigative reporters. I mean, I guess I understand why people are directly attacking her, because I mean, she's been attacked endlessly from virtually every single different ideological background on the internet. And therefore there's a lot of things that you can pull from, smears or even like valid critiques or whatnot, but it's not about her reporting. And as a reporter, as a journalist, when you are criticizing someone's reporting, you have to criticize their reporting. You can't just like criticize who they are or what they've done or what other people think about this person, even if you have disagreements with them.
I continue to believe that the left needs massive investments into the independent media space. I'm really proud of the program that we've built. I'm really proud that we've allowed creators to do this work full time. I'm really proud of the independence that they have to say whatever they want to say in whatever way they want to say it. I'm really proud that our creators are seeing their channels and their pages grow. My goal is to see an army emerge from the left to take on what's happening on the right. Taylor
Okay, so then the rest of it is just like
Lorenz and Republicans don't want to see it, but we do.
Taylor Lorenz and Republicans don't want to see it. That's not even true. Okay, it's sad to see online leftists jump on this hate train, having no idea who she actually is or where she advocates for outside of she's a Twitter drama target. I know. But it's also because like a lot of beloved liberal content creators and maybe even leftist content creators that like they've seen online are also taking on this story and directly attacking Taylor Lorenz and not necessarily taking issue with her reporting, but simply saying that she's just bad and shitty. And the point here is not like drama or parasocial relationships. The point here, especially if you're just a consumer of this kind of content, you should just address the issue head on. You should just tackle the issue head on. Is this article filled to the brim with fucking fake bullshit or not? And I have yet to see anyone directly contradict the evidence that was presented in the article, in the reporting. I have no reason to believe that Wired Magazine and its editorial team actually allowed this to be reported on without literally looking through the contracts or at least corroborating the evidence presented by numerous on background, on the record, and off the record sources. That is how you normally write articles. This is not a fucking Substack post. It's not a Medium post. This is not, a call out post on TikTok. This is an entirely different thing. And I think a lot of people have forgotten or don't know how mainstream outlets work. They don't think about like the numerous different the points and multiple different groups that like look through all of the information presented in the article to ensure that it's like to the best of their ability accurate.